Eagles fans, get ready, because another one of those history-changing moves might be coming. When Philly's GM starts making moves, the rest of the league holds its breath. And this time, the rumor is massive. The kind of deal that makes rivals freeze and fans believe the top is within reach. Once again, the defense needs a new spark, and it looks like someone in Philadelphia is ready to hit the red button. A bold, risky move, but one that could completely change the course of the season. So go ahead and smash that like button, because this video is about to give you chills. And I want to hear from you, Eagles fans. If this move actually happens, is it the masterstroke that could bring Philly back to the top of the league? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see Eagles Nation fill it up, because if this plan comes to life, that roar from the stands could echo all the way to February. The Philadelphia Eagles might be on the verge of another classic Howie Roseman move, the kind that sends the entire league into a frenzy and the fans right back into that Super Bowl or bust mindset. According to NFL insider Tony Pauline, the Eagles are actively exploring a blockbuster trade for Bengals edge rusher Trey Hendrickson. Let's not sugarcoat it. This would be massive. Hendrickson isn't just any name floating around trade rumors. He's been the most dominant sack artist in football over the past 2 seasons. 17.5 sacks in both 2023 and 2024. Nobody in the entire league, not TJ Watt, not Nick Bosa, not Myles Garrett, not even Max Crosby, has touched those numbers. He's been that good, that consistent, that dangerous. And yet, here we are, with Cincinnati sitting at 2-4, staring at another disappointing season and realizing that Hendrickson might walk after the year anyway. They gave him a $14 million pay raise instead of the long-term extension he wanted. Now, that decision could turn into a trade deadline opportunity for the Eagles, a chance to fix their biggest problem area and change the shape of their season. Because let's be honest, the pass rush has been awful. Through 6 games, the Eagles have only 9 sacks, 9th worst in the league. 9. Compare that to the Broncos, who already have 30. That's a gap you just can't ignore if you're a team built on defensive identity. Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche were supposed to be reinforcements, but neither has provided any real spark. Ojulari barely saw the field early in the season because of injuries, and Uche has been decent in a rotational role, but not someone who changes the game. You can almost sense the frustration building in the locker room and in the fan base. Vic Fangio's defense has always been built on disciplined pressure. Get home with 3 or 4 guys, drop the rest, trust the secondary. But right now, Fangio's been blitzing more than ever because his front simply can't get there. The numbers make it clear.
5th in total pressures, 7th in pressure rate, but 27th in sack rate. They're hitting quarterbacks, sure, but not finishing the job. And that's why Hendrickson's name is circling like a hawk over Broad Street. He's durable, 9 years in, rarely misses a game. He's still elite, sporting a 90.4 pass rush grade from PFF this year, 7th best among all edge rushers. And even though he's crossed 30, his motor hasn't dropped off one bit. The thought of pairing him with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Haason Reddick, it's terrifying for opposing quarterbacks. That's the kind of front that wins in January. That's the kind of move Howie Roseman makes when he smells blood in the water. But there's always a cost. The proposed deal being floated makes you think twice. A 2026 second-round pick and a 2026 third-rounder to Cincinnati. It sounds steep, but Roseman's always playing chess, not checkers. The Eagles still have plenty of draft capital, their own first-round pick, an additional third from the Jets, and a compensatory pick after Milton Williams signed with New England. Even if you give up that second and 1/3, you still have ammunition left to reload. And if that move brings another Lombardi to Philly, no one's going to care about losing a mid-round pick 2 years down the road. There's also some intrigue in Cincinnati. Hendrickson was listed as day-to-day after leaving the Packers game last Sunday, but he was held out of the Bengals' Thursday night matchup against the Steelers. Could it be just to protect his health, or are the Bengals trying to keep their best trade chip safe until the right offer lands? It feels like something's brewing behind the scenes, and the Eagles are right in the thick of it. Now, think about how this would ripple across the rest of the defense. If Hendrickson comes in and gives you that consistent edge pressure, suddenly your corners don't have to hold coverage for 4 or 5 seconds. That helps everyone. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, even the depth guys like Khalil Ringo, Adoree Jackson, and Jacorian Bennett. Fangio's entire defensive philosophy starts to make sense again because now you're dictating the tempo instead of reacting to it. The linebackers get freer looks. The safeties can play with more aggression. Everything becomes sharper, faster, nastier. And you have to believe Howie's thinking the same thing. He knows this roster is stacked, maybe one of the deepest in NFL history coming off that 2024 Super Bowl win. But he's also seen how thin the margin is between contender and pretender. The Eagles' last few in-season trades haven't all hit. Remember Robert Quinn, Kevin Byard, or Golden Tate? But when Roseman has his back against the wall, he takes swings. And this one, if it lands, could reshape the league's playoff picture. Of course, injuries remain a subplot in all of this. The latest report is actually encouraging. Jalen Carter, dealing with that heel issue, says he'll be good to go against Minnesota. Quinyon Mitchell, who's been an absolute lockdown corner as a rookie, practiced fully after nursing a hamstring injury. And that's massive because the Eagles are heading into a matchup with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. If Quinyon can go, it changes everything. Without him, you're trusting Adoree Jackson and Khalil Ringo to handle Jefferson, and no one wants to see that nightmare unfold. Then there's Landon Dickerson, fighting through an ankle and back injury, trying to tough it out while clearly not at full strength. The offensive line has looked shaky. Tyler Steen's been fine, but Cam Jurgens hasn't been great, and the interior has struggled to open lanes or keep the pocket clean. You have to wonder if the physical grind is starting to catch up to this group. Still, even with those concerns, the potential addition of Hendrickson could spark a mid-season surge. He's the kind of player who changes energy in a locker room. He's relentless, respected, and proven. Philadelphia loves guys like that. Blue collar, no nonsense, high motor, full effort every snap. You can already imagine the link erupting if Hendrickson were to get his first sack in midnight green. So now the question is simple, and it's the one that could define the Eagles' next few weeks leading up to the trade deadline. Should the Eagles go all in for Trey Hendrickson, even if it means giving up high draft capital? What do you think, Birds fans? Is this the move that pushes the team over the top again? If Howie Roseman decides to pull the trigger on a deal for Trey Hendrickson, it won't just be another headline move. It would be a signal that the Eagles are done experimenting and ready to dominate again. Hendrickson embodies everything Philadelphia fans crave: power, effort, consistency, and a little bit of that mean streak that's been missing up front this season. Think about what he's done year after year. 14 sacks in 2021, 8 in 2022 even while playing through injuries. Then back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons in 2023 and 2024. That's not just production, that's reliability. And this season, he's already got 4 sacks, 14 hurries, 23 pressures. His PFF pass rush grade of 90.4 ranks among the elite. When you line him up opposite Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, that's a front that can collapse any pocket in the league. It's also a perfect schematic fit. Vic Fangio doesn't rely on creative blitz packages or exotic stunts. He believes in disciplined pressure. He wants his front four to win straight up, forcing quarterbacks to make mistakes while his secondary feasts on bad throws. But so far this year, he's had to step out of his comfort zone, dialing up blitzes more than he's accustomed to just to keep the defense afloat. That's not sustainable. With Hendrickson in the mix, Fangio can get back to his foundation, 3 or 4 men up front doing the dirty work while the back end controls space. It's not just about adding talent, it's about restoring identity. And while the cost of a 2026 second and third round pick might sting, Roseman's entire philosophy has always been built around maximizing the present while keeping just enough draft flexibility to retool later. Even after such a trade, the Eagles would still own a 2026 first-rounder, 2 third-rounders including one from the Jets, plus extra mid-round compensation picks. For a general manager who's made a career out of manipulating the cap and stacking value, this deal would fit perfectly into his long-term plan. He's done it before. Think back to Jay Ajayi in 2017. That trade added the spark that carried the team through the playoffs to a Super Bowl win. But to truly understand how significant Hendrickson could be, look at what's missing now. Through 6 games, the Eagles' defensive line has created 113 pressures, 5th in the NFL, yet they rank 25th in sacks. That gap between disruption and production tells you the story. They're getting there but not finishing. The difference between a hurry and a sack is often a game-changing play, a third down stop, a forced fumble, a turnover. Hendrickson doesn't just pressure, he finishes. He closes the deal, and that's what this defense desperately needs. There's also a leadership factor here. The Eagles lost key veteran presences along the edge. Hasan Reddick is still productive, but with younger players like Ojulari and Uche struggling to adapt, that group needs a tone setter. Hendrickson has always been that kind of player. He's not flashy on social media, not about hype, just relentless between the whistles. That's the kind of mentality that elevates an entire unit, the kind of guy who walks into a meeting room and raises the standard without saying a word. Now, it's fair to ask whether this is the right moment for an all-in move. The team is already dealing with injuries, Jalen Carter fighting through a heel issue, Landon Dickerson still nursing that ankle, and the secondary barely holding together. But if the Eagles wait, the opportunity might vanish. Other teams like the Colts are reportedly interested, and once the bidding war starts, prices rise fast. Hendrickson's value isn't just about the numbers, it's about scarcity. There aren't many pass rushers in the league who can guarantee double-digit sacks every year. What's interesting is how this move could affect the offense indirectly. A stronger pass rush means shorter drives for opponents, better field position, and more opportunities for Jalen Hurts and that explosive offense to control tempo. The ripple effect touches every aspect of the team. Think back to how dominant the 2024 defense was during the Super Bowl run. It all started up front. When the defensive line dictated the game, everything clicked. The offense stayed balanced, the secondary thrived, and the team looked unbeatable. That version of the Eagles has been missing, and Hendrickson could be the missing piece that brings it back. Meanwhile, the Bengals situation makes the timing even more intriguing. Sitting at 2-4 with internal frustrations building, Cincinnati has little to lose by moving a veteran asset. By holding Hendrickson out of the Thursday night game against Pittsburgh, they may have tipped their hand, protecting him from injury while waiting for the right trade offer. If Howie Roseman senses blood in the water, this could move quickly. He's known for acting before anyone else. One phone call, and by Monday morning, Hendrickson could be wearing midnight green. And just imagine the energy that would inject into this locker room. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Hasten Reddick, Trey Hendrickson, that's a defensive line rotation that could break games open. Every offensive line in the NFC would have to rethink their protection schemes. Every quarterback would be checking the clock in his head, knowing he has less than 3 seconds to get the ball out. That's how you tilt the season back in your favor. Then again, there's always that fear of overpaying or repeating past mistakes. Howie's midseason trades haven't always delivered. Golden Tate never fit. Robert Quinn had nothing left. Kevin Byard struggled to make an impact. But this feels different. This isn't a short-term ban.